It's Sunday night, I'm drinking wine.
Hey Labia Talkers, welcome back. We're on episode 18. After a short hiatus, we're here to dish the dirt on all things living abroad in your late 20s, almost 30s. And we're here every single week bringing unique content to get you through what seems like the longest lockdown ever. But before we start, just a heads up that no topic is off limits for this podcast. So if that's not your cup of tea, then, well, that's your loss. You were warned. All right. Hi, Olly.
How's it going, Maggie? Do you know what? I almost feel like when you say almost early 30s, like kind of half depressed, but like, you know, it's the circle of life, isn't it?
Hey, it's going to reach us at any point, right?
How are you? I'm doing well.
I'm fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Really well.
We've got a beer. I'm
Yeah.
still drinking Budweiser. A week later. How's it going? Cheers. Let's do a ching ching.
Ching ching. There we go.
You know, it's very
I've
important in
also-
this podcast that we have a drink, because if we don't have a drink, then, you know, I think we've done a few sober episodes, and whilst they've been okay, I think it's a lot more fun when we've got a drink in our hand.
Absolutely. And babes, let's be honest, like alcohol brought us together. I feel like we've really bonded when the crazy Olly came out on those drunken nights in Bolivia.
I think we were
When he used to-
we were definitely the life of the party.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, hats off to the team now, but it's not the same, is it?
No, absolutely not.
We brought the party. When you started switching on your Brazilian bangers, when the funky music started coming out and you were stripping, that's how you knew it was that point of the night.
I just sound like a sexual deviant. I am. I mean, I feel like, you know, Labia Talk is a place where I can just let it all out. So if you're enjoying it, then make sure you subscribe to the podcast and follow us on our socials at Labia Talk Podcast.
Yes, please do. Give us a little cheeky like on Instagram. Write to us at labiatalkpodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from you.
And how's London, Maggie?
It's fucking cold, isn't it? Miserable, grey. Same old,
What is
same
it?
old.
It's April now, surely. Surely the weather's getting a little bit better.
We had a cheeky day last week where it was about 23 degrees.
Oh.
So all of London descended outside, and basically when the sun is out and you can go outside in a t-shirt, it's basically daytime drinking, isn't it?
That's true. So, you know, when I used to live in Canberra, it used to get really cold in the winter. Like really hot and dry, like Santa Cruz, Bolivia weather in the summer. And then in the winter, it was like cold,
Wow.
like La Paz, like really, really cold. And everyone says that the 25th of April, which is Anzac Day in Australia, like Anzac is like the war that we fought in Turkey, and we lost it. But on Anzac Day, the weather changes, and that's when, like, if you live in like a residence at university, they turn like the heaters on at that time. What do you call them? Radiators.
Of course, because you're opposite, aren't you? I was going to say, that's when it's getting warmer.
I know.
I forget that you're in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah, Southern Hemisphere. It makes sense down here, Maggie.
It totally does. But at the moment in Brazil, like, what is the weather like in Rio? Is it getting colder, getting warmer?
Well, no, I was
difference?
talking to my housemate the other day, my lovely friend, and I asked her, I was like, does it get cold here? Because when I was living in Belo Horizonte, I lived there for 3 months between Bolivia and Rio, and I arrived there, and it was so cold every day. Like, you know, not like it was like 24 or 25 degrees, but like... It was cold compared
summer, honestly.
It was cold compared to like Santa Cruz. So when I came to Rio for the first time, I was like, fuck, it's hot here. So it's a little bit hot. And she said it gets like cold a little bit in June, July for a couple of weeks. But, you know, it's comparable to Santa Cruz. But obviously, like, Santa Cruz weather is just fucking ridiculously hot. Whereas like here,
extremes.
yeah, here in Rio, like, I guess I'm still like staying at home and not going out often, but like on the weekend, if I go for a bike ride or something like that, it's quite hot. You know, it's Rio, it's
that's
Brazil,
lovely.
it's the best place, and it's, you know, I was talking to my friend actually, and he said if Rio was like safe, like European cities, you know, arguably those cities are safe, it would be the best city in the world, and without a shadow of a doubt, if Brazil was safe, it would be the best country in the world. Hands down.
Absolutely.
You know, if you take
you
think about the culture, you think about the music, you think about the beaches and the beautiful people. Oh, what do you want to say about that?
No, I'm just saying that there's nowhere in the world I have visited that has really struck me in the same way that Rio has, because it does, you know, presents itself to you as a European city, as one of these beautiful, grand European cities in its architecture and in its sort of like hustle and bustle and number of people, inhabitants, but then you have this awestruck, amazing. I just made up an adjective there and I didn't finish it. But then you have this incredible scenery around you as well, the mountains and the beaches. And there really is nowhere in the world quite like it that I visited. And there's just a very romantic energy, I feel, in Rio.
And actually, I have a YouTube channel called Olly Livido. We'll put it down in the notes of this podcast. So if you want to check out videos about Rio or Bolivia, make sure you head over to my YouTube channel. If you're into that kind of different style, sort of a shameless plug there.
Well, Olly, you have captured some really beautiful corners of the world, and I honestly urge our viewers to check him out.
You say check me out?
Check him out.
Check him out, please.
Our viewers, I said. Our listeners.
Oh, our listeners.
Hey, Olly, I've got a feeling if we were actually we would have more listeners if we were a video platform.
Oh shit, yeah.
We're so hot.
I know. Maybe it's something we could consider in the future.
Anyway, it brings me on to what we're going to be talking about today. I really want to, like last week we spoke about sort of breaking quarantine and who we decide to break quarantine for. And of course, in this moment, a lot of us are using dating profiles or keeping in touch with people through dating profiles, making new connections. And I wanted to discuss with you, Olly, today about whether we can dispel the myth of whether height truly is a deal breaker in the dating world. I'm a tall lady, so I really wanted us to bring up this topic today. And I wanted to ask you, have you ever unmatched somebody because of their height? Have you ever felt the need to include your height in your dating profile? How short is too short? Is there such a thing as too tall? And have we completely lost the plot because of our experiences of meeting short men in South America? So today we want to unpack this old age question.
Yeah, you raised some really good points, and I feel like we are gonna have some maybe differing opinions given our height difference, because you're definitely taller than me. But before we get into all of that juicy discussion, today's shout out, which is back for the second week in a row. Woo woo! We love a shout out. Today's shout out comes from Pedro, actually. And I met Pedro when I used to live in Belo Horizonte. He was a friend of my beautiful friend Talis. We love you, Talis, if you're listening. And I went to a waterfall with him one day. And we became friends on Instagram, and he messaged me saying that he really enjoys watching my YouTube channel and he enjoys listening to our podcast because it's an opportunity for him to practice his English. So Maggie and I want to say thank you, Pedro, for listening, and your support is really great.
Thank you so much, Pedro.
Yeah.
What a lovely friendship as well. What a lovely story.
Absolutely. And if you want us to shout you out on this wonderful podcast, make sure you head over to our socials and send us a message at Labiatalk Podcast on Instagram or on Facebook at Labiatalk Podcast. Or you can even email us at labiatalkpodcast@gmail.com if you're into those old style of Gmails. Now, Maggie, before we get into today's main topic, I have a burning question for you because I think it's kind of appropriate. You already kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but like, how short is too short? And, we're not talking about how small is too small. We're talking about short in height, not size, height.
Okay, yeah, just to clarify.
Let's be open and upfront with people before we start. I am 173 centimeters, so, average, right?
Oh, really? Wow. I mean, is that average?
It's not tall. It's not short, is it? Am I short?
No. No, you're not short, but I'm 183.
So you're 10 centimeters shorter than me.
Shorter, yeah.
Taller.
Yeah. Was that your joke? No. 173. I think that's a commendable height. That's a respectful height. What is that in inches and feet?
Oh God, we measure in. Yeah, that's the problem, listeners. We measure in, like, Australians like to take a little bit from the US, a little bit from the UK. I don't know, Maggie.
Oh wow. That's a 5'6".
Is it?
5.6.
Is that
Yeah,
short?
5'6". I'm quite surprised because I didn't think you were 5'6".
What did you think I was?
Maybe like 5'8".
So you're calling me short, you bitch.
It's only 3 centimeters difference, apparently.
No. Guys, Maggie's calling me short. I'm leaving. Puts down the phone, getting out of here.
Honey, no. I've never ever thought of you as short, if that makes sense. You're not short to me. You are like average height. So I guess maybe my idea of average height is maybe more around
Subjective.
5'8".
It's
Yeah,
subjective. You're
subjective.
choosing.
It is, but you don't come across as short. Do you know what I mean?
So would you
Because
say
you're not short.
if you matched with me on Tinder, obviously because
Yeah.
I'm a sexy piece of shit, and if you said to me, or if I said to you, how you said to me, how short are you, or what's your height? Because it's a common question on the dating apps, and we're going to get into that a bit later. But if I said to you, I'm 6'5" or whatever I am, no, not 6'5", I wish 5'6". Am I 5'6"?
5'6", yes.
What would you say? Deal breaker?
You know what? No.
Okay.
No.
Let's stop there because I want to talk about that when we get into our main discussion. Interesting, Maggie.
You weren't expecting that one, were you?
No, I wasn't.
From somebody who is 183 centimeters tall.
I know.
6 feet, in other words.
Interesting because like
6 whole feet.
growing up, I had like this weird obsession with like, because my eldest brother is he's taller than me, but like he used to date like girls that were taller than him, and I used to think this is so weird. He's short and she's taller than him. Like it's not how we should go. Maggie, is height a deal breaker?
You know, no. I'd say that I'm actually quite open-minded when it comes to dating people depending on their height. I really actually don't fancy super tall people. I've never really been attracted to them. And I actually do tend to fancy people who are a little bit shorter than me. I don't know, it's just less awkward for me. And I don't know, my experience as well, the people who are less shorter just I don't know, they've got this different energy. They carry themselves in a different way. All the tall people I've been with tend to be a bit awkward and like, oh, gangly.
Well, actually, I was going to ask you that question, like, because obviously I'm not a short person because you've told me basically in this podcast.
You're not Olly, your average height.
But do you think...
Should we check? What's the average height of a... No, we'll look later.
Yeah, no, we can check.
What's the average height of an Australian man? Do you want to know?
I do.
Okay, so... In the United Kingdom and Australia, for some reason, they have combined the statistics together. Whoever conducted this, Medical News Today, has reported that the average male height is around 5'10".
Oh no! I'm short.
See, I don't think you are.
No, do you know what? I think that's like a type of news.com, like fake news type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Maggie, I can't believe you're calling me short.
Olly, you're twisting my words.
Yeah.
Come on.
Do you know what? I want to go, like, because I think, like, tall people.
Go on.
No,
make a lot of generalizations.
No, I want to talk about this because I think it's a bit of an issue, like, because I think we all have deficiencies. I have a receding hairline, not for too much longer, but
oh no,
I feel like
I've got small boobs. I've got
That's true.
very wonky boobs. I've got one boob that is decidedly bigger than the other.
That's true, and like I have a hairy body, so I feel like we all have something that we're really self-conscious about. Are tall people self-conscious about their height? Are short people self-conscious about their height?
I think so. I think as like a fellow tall person, I've always been very aware of my height, and people generally do just look at me in the supermarket because I think I'm just like sticking out a little bit. It is something I've been aware of, and when I am together with somebody else who's tall, it just doesn't work, you know?
No. So let's say
no, and I'm not really a fan of like when you're tall, I don't know. Anyway, the guys I know who are taller, they tend to be a bit lankier, or they tend to have skinnier legs.
Well,
and I've got this aversion to skinny legs.
Actually, going on taller, lankier, skinnier legs, are their penises often skinnier?
Oh, you know what? I'm going to leave that one for you to figure out.
That's so funny.
But there is actually there's some truth in on average, yeah, I'd say so. On average, I'd say the better ones are the shorter guys.
Okay, so
In my experience.
okay, you said the better ones are the shorter guys, so you would have fitted in perfectly in Bolivia. You would have had a lot of sex there, right?
Wow, see, this is where I have to concur. Concur is the correct word,
No,
right?
concur is agree, right?
What's the disagree? Okay, I have to disagree with you. One would think that yes, basing this on this conclusion that yeah, I'd be having a fucking brilliant time in Bolivia and in Mexico, but I can assure you, I was not.
So-
I was not satisfied.
I'm interested, like, on the dating apps in Bolivia and in Mexico, and we can even talk about the UK as well. Do men put their height? Because like in the gay world, people will put what position they are. Do they put their height?
Yeah, so yeah, this definitely happens. Yeah, 100%. On the universal app that everybody knows beginning on the letter T, in Bolivia and Mexico. There we
Gotta
go.
go with We haven't spoken about poo
Well
yet.
done. You did it. I know. Do you think we'll make it? Well, we almost made it. You dropped the word. Just could not resist, could you, Ollie? It's not an episode without Ollie talking about poo. Sorry, I really need to stop. But yes, in Mexico and in Bolivia, guys who tend to be taller than the average. So I'd say any guy who is about 6 foot, so let's say 183 centimeters, 185 centimeters or so, they would explicitly write this in their profile. Like it's something to be proud of, I feel.
Wow.
Or it's something that distinguishes them from the other guys, which is really lame. I feel like that being tall is not a characteristic or personality trait.
No.
Does that make sense?
No, it's not.
But for some reason, for these guys, they feel the need to just like proclaim to the world, ooh, look at me, I'm 190 centimeters tall.
It's weird,
or I'm,
isn't it?
whatever. Yeah. So that's what I found in Mexico and in Bolivia. Here in the UK, so I'm really trying to keep a straight face. Here in the UK, I'd say guys tend to be a little bit more jokey about it. I think it's just the British way of flirting anyway. Like there's a bit more banter. I'm sure it's the same in Australia as well. Like you guys have got some banter.
Yeah.
So the guys will kind of be like, oh, I'm 6'2" in case that matters or whatever. And yeah, but they do include it.
It's kind of weird, isn't it? Because like, I back, like, you going back to the burning question, you said like height doesn't matter for you, and for me, I'm also exactly the same. Like height doesn't matter, but I used to think it did. Back, I've had a couple of relationships, and a couple of them, my first relationships, the boys were taller than me, and I kind of liked it because, like, I don't know why, but I kind of felt like, taller than me, yeah, they can, like, not, I was going to say take advantage of me, which they definitely did, but they can, like, protect me is what you were saying, like, caress and, like, look after me, and it's kind of, like, lovey-dovey and stuff like that. And then when my most recent relationship, when I met him for the first time, I went over to his place, and the first thing that I noticed was he was, like, 5... I don't know how much shorter he is, but he was, like, between 5 and 10 centimeters shorter than me, and I was like, fuck, this is a deal breaker. And then like and then after a few dates and after seeing him a few times, like it just like it was irrelevant. And then like it was because as I said, you said I'm short, so if I'm short then he's a fucking midget, right?
Hey, I didn't say you're short. The article said you're short, okay? Hey,
Maggie,
I never
they
said
were
you're
your
short,
words. They
Ollie.
came from your mouth.
No. Oh, shush. No. But yeah, that's super interesting. But in this case as well, like, do you think it's because you genuinely were super attracted to him and that's when it doesn't become a deal breaker? Like, if you were to other guys that you have slept with in Bolivia and in Brazil who have been around the same height, has this been a deal breaker for you? Or like even spoken to, sorry.
Well, I hate to admit it, but I think I am a little bit shallow. Because, like, Maggie, we know that we're different in South America, especially like, like you would fit in Brazil. You would fit in Brazil because you're like beautiful and stuff like that. But like, I'm still like I'm a gringo in Bolivia and I'm a gringo in Brazil, so I stand out. So I don't exactly remember where this was going. What was your question?
My question is that guys that you have met in Brazil and in Bolivia, you have not necessarily really fancied or had a huge connection with, has height then become more obvious to you, or have you
Yeah.
noticed it more?
Yeah.
Really?
So no, it hasn't, because like I think, like, going back to what I said, I feel like I'm shallow, and I feel like height is not the number one issue for me. Like,
There's other parts of the
yeah.
appearance that
I mean,
are more important.
I love a beautiful penis. Like, I would take a beautiful penis over a tall guy or a guy that my height any day. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
if I'm
so would I.
sucking and like getting fucked by, the most beautiful penis out there, but the guy's 20 centimeters shorter than me, I'm happy. It's okay.
You're down with it. Okay.
Down
There
with
you
it.
go, guys. You got it. The exclusive. Ollie's up for it.
I'm up for it. Let's go back to Bolivia, because, like, guys, yeah, shorter, but also not as beautiful. Like, if you've listened to this podcast before, you might know that we're not really interested. And actually, Maggie, if I think about all the Bolivian guys that I hooked up with, I think one was beautiful, and he was the same height as me.
Oh, interesting. But yes, no, I agree. Like, I think it's definitely the standard is different across other countries. But in general, my experience in Mexico and my experience in Bolivia has been pretty similar.
Yeah.
In terms of even like guys' beauty standards, what they look like, how they do their hair. And I think what guys really want, or like what society, I don't know, what is like very important in Bolivian and in Mexican culture, Mexican society, like in the straight world anyway, guys want like a super feminine and I think like submissive woman. I think me being inherently tall, I intimidate a lot of men. And I intimidate, men probably think I come across a lot more, I don't know, just like less feminine, like a bit, I don't know, more dominating in a way because of my height. And
I totally get that. And do you know what? I think that would be a super interesting thing to delve deep into, because like height as power. And do you feel that?
100%, definitely. I think also, okay, I'm kind of steering a little bit off
No,
topic
go
here, but
for it.
I think it does relate a lot to height, and particularly, my experiences with different partners. And I think people assume that you're going to be very sort of dominating because of your height, or they expect a certain level of like, control from you, or a certain personality, I think, from you because of your height. And I think height is power. And when you think about it, when you really consider even like in the bedroom, different positions and things, height really does kind of play a part.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. No, well, totally. Like, if you think of like navigating and getting into certain positions and stuff like that, like, I think like a lot of things play a part. Like, even if, I'm holding up a banana now, depending on the size of the penis, that depends on what position you can do as well.
Oh God, yeah.
So,
I bet.
going about height and length and stuff like that, it definitely, like, it's a power play in the bedroom as well. I'm not intimidated by tall people, but I think maybe that's because like I'm gay and I'm interested in men. But maybe like for men who are, straight, they might feel, as you said, a woman intimidating because like, a powerful woman, like that's not like what society teaches us, which is fucking obvious bullshit. Actually, right now in Australia, there's a big movement because a lot of young women who are staffers of politicians are like coming out because they've been, I'm going to use the word allegedly because I don't want to like, make any legal claims here in case somebody like files a legal, if they're fucking listening to this podcast, obviously not. But a lot of women were, I believe them, but they were allegedly raped by different men in politics. And there's been a massive issue about like, the power of men over women. So I think it's a massive issue, but like it's interesting you say like about the power dynamic of like being tall and being short, and I wish all women were taller if that made men a little bit scared to like do things, because men are fucked, aren't they?
Right, I know. I don't know what got into men's heads to think that they could get away with certain shit or that they have this like such an air of entitlement. But yeah, if we had more tall, strong female, strong women, that would be, the world would be a better place. Absolutely, I completely agree. So of course, it's very different, I guess, for you navigating the gay dating world. And I was wondering, are there any kind of different standards depending on which apps you use? So, for example, if you're meeting anybody on Tinder, do you write different things than when you write in your than when you meet somebody on Grindr?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And again, I think we've said it quite a lot in this podcast. Height is more of a factor in the straight community rather than the gay community. Because if you've listened to this podcast, you know that gay culture is quite sexualized and a lot of people just meet up for hookups and stuff like that. I'll have the odd message ask me how short or tall I am. I don't really know what they're playing at because
who cares?
Yeah, why are you asking me? I'm clearly getting the vibe from you that you're either not going to meet with me or you're just going to want me for sex. What's the problem? For me, it's not an issue. And if someone says how tall I am, I'm not going to lie. I don't lie to them.
Yeah.
But it's not the first question that somebody asks. The first question that somebody asks is normally, how are you? But oftentimes you'll get someone saying, are you a top or a bottom? So that's basically... Maggie's doing a top bottom TPR teacher fucking movement. And that's the first question. And I think again, it goes back to it's different in our world. It's interesting as well, right?
100%.
So yeah, I mean, I really don't I think that height for me is not an issue. But if you're listening and you think that height is not an issue, or if you think that this topic should be irrelevant, because obviously if you're listening till now, you know that Maggie and I's opinion is quite of that opinion. Let us know on our socials. What's our socials, Maggie?
Yeah, so you can message us on Instagram and on Facebook at Labia Talk Podcast, or write to us at labiatalkpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to reply you.
Format.
And make sure, if you want to get shouted out on this magnificent podcast, which I envisage will be breaking records of downloads within a year or two, you can message us or leave us, share our podcast with your friends to get the message across. And we love you and we love hearing from you. So yeah,
spread the love, guys. We want to hear from you, so please give us a little shout out, and we're going to shout you out in our episode as well, because we're really just one huge big community where we stretch far beyond Bolivia, Brazil, the UK, Mexico. We're an international community, so
we are. And our international community goes even further, because Amy, who made our music, is from London. So make sure you follow her on SoundCloud. And Alejandro Gonzalez, who made our logo, is from Bolivia, and she's a Boliviana. So thank you to those lovely ladies. Power to the women. Maggie, so good to see you again, and I will see you again next week. Thanks for listening, everybody.
See you next week, Olly.
Catch you later.
Take care. Love ya.
It's Sunday night, I'm drinking wine.